What's up, design family, and welcome back to another episode of Fittdesign TV. So glad to have you back on the channel. Before we get into the video, if you guys haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. We put out great fashion design, sportswear design, graphic design, manufacturing content on a week-to-week basis, and it would mean the world to us if you joined us on our journey. But on today's episode, we'll be looking specifically at the production process. Once you have a finalized design sheet and you're ready to go into production, what do you need? This video is going to run you through stage by stage on everything you need to know once you have your finalized designs and are ready to begin bringing your product to life. Hey guys, and welcome to Fittdesign TV. So glad to have you here. On this channel, we discuss all things sports fashion, graphic design, manufacturing, and technology. We'll discuss key topics, answer pressing questions, and provide actionable steps on starting your own product line. If you're interested in any of the above topics, stick around. You're in for a good one. The entire production process can be broken down into 12 key stages. Starting off with a stage that I'm sure all of you guys have heard about, and probably a stage that most people dread because of how technical it can be. And number one, that is to have your tech packs prepared and ready to go. We've done another video a while ago on an in-depth look at what a tech pack is and what a tech pack should include, but something to note is that every factory production style that you work on should have an accompanying tech pack. A quality manufacturer and supplier will never take an order from you without an accompanying tech pack. They need to have clarity on what is expected of them, what the style looks like, what the materials are, the zippers, the trims, the prints, and at the same time, you need to be able to hold them and yourself accountable for the designs that you're executing on. So step one is to prepare a tech pack. Again, go watch that video if you want to know what to include in a tech pack, but before you get into the production, prepare a highly comprehensive tech pack that's going to run your manufacturer through everything they need to know. Once you've delivered your final tech pack to the supplier, figure out where you're sourcing your trims and your fabrics from. That's if you're doing it yourself. Once you have your fabric supplier, make sure to order what's known as sampling fabric or sample fabric yardage. Sample fabric yardage should be in the correct composition and the correct color. Yes, these things can take a while to produce, but it's better to get started now so that you have your sample fabric yardage for when you want to create your fit sample. Not your prototype, but your fit sample, which we'll get into at a later stage. Number three, you'll want to develop your pattern. A pattern is essentially sewing schematics. It basically looks like the flat version of a garment, and it can be quite technical to develop a pattern. Not all fashion designers are actually able to develop patterns, and there are dedicated professionals known as pattern makers that are exclusively geared towards creating and developing patterns based off of points of measurements, technical sheets, or other types of specs. You'll want to create a pattern or have a pattern created on your behalf before going into your initial prototype. Most cut and sew factories will always be able to offer you a pattern making sort of solution based on a quality tech pack. But do bear in mind that if you don't provide the necessary information in your tech pack, a pattern maker will not be able to develop an accurate pattern. So make sure that your tech pack has at least a flat or at least a points of measurements page, which will run the factory through key points of measurements in a flat 1-to-1 format. So let them know what the chest width is, the waist width, the sleeve length, the collar width. You don't need to be a pattern maker to be able to accurately represent how you want your garment to fit. But pattern making is an art, and that's why dedicated pattern makers exist to create quality patterns so that your garment can fit perfectly. Number four, once you have your prototype pattern created, go ahead and have your factory create a prototype. So this is what's known as a proto sample, your first sample that you'll be creating, and it should be made with the correct details regarding silhouette, fit, measurements. Some basic trims and detailings should also be there, but do bear in mind that you'll probably be using a stock fabric or a sample fabric as opposed to the sample yardage that you've ordered. At this stage, your sample yardage won't be available yet, So more likely than not, you'll receive your proto in a stock colorway with a stock fabric. All of this is meant to give you a physical representation of your design and get you going into the next stages of your production. Number 5, you'll want to create a fit sample. So following the proto sample that you created earlier, you'll take the confirmed design details, whether you moved a pocket here or you changed the hemline or you changed the armhole, whatever you may have changed, you want to take those details and use it to create what is known as a fit sample. So your fit sample differs from your proto sample in the sense that it should be using the correct yardage. So your fabric yardage that you ordered earlier on in the process should now be ready and prepared to implement into your fit sample. You also want to use a consistent fit model, whether that's yourself, your partner, or a specific professional that you hired. Make sure to have a consistency across your brand's fits. Use a similar type of fit model for the different styles that you have, whether it's female or male. Make sure that you pick the correct person to represent your brand. You'll want to make sure that your fit sample has the corrected fit and pattern adjustments. Because if something doesn't fit correctly, the pattern needs to be fine-tuned to go into batch production. So this is the stage where you can make most of the fine-tuning and you'll have a lot more clarity on how a garment fits because you should be using the correct fabrics at this stage. The reason I mentioned the correct fabrics versus the proto sample, which may include stock fabrics, are, as you guys know, some fabrics differ from others in terms of their tension, the way they fit, the way they drape. Obviously, the difference isn't going to be astronomical, but it is something to bear in mind, especially on more compressive garments. Number 6, you want to select the final samples from your sample style collection. What does that mean? Well, based on your prototypes and your fit samples, you should now have a clear idea of which styles best fit your production needs, whether it's a price point or a time sensitivity. If some styles are too tough to create within a certain time frame because they're far too complex or they're too expensive, make sure that you eliminate the products that you don't want and keep the products that you do want. This will also be outlined to you based on your bill of materials. You should know your labor cost, all of your fabric costs, your hardwares and your trims that you'll be attaching to the garment, and you have a very, very clear idea of how much each garment is going to cost you. If this aligns with your price point and what you're looking to create, then great, you can proceed on to the later stages of the production process. And at the same time, if the product doesn't align with your goals, then you can eliminate it or shelf it for later use. Number 7, start taking orders or pre-sales on your production styles. Now that you have your production styles figured out, start offering these production styles online for pre-sale, whether it's direct to consumer or you're selling to showrooms as a wholesaler. Start taking in orders. Make sure all of your orders are confirmed before deciding on your production quantities. At this stage, you'll have a clear idea of which styles are most in demand, and it'll give you the peace of mind to know that once you have these styles finished, you have customers ready and waiting for them. In the modern business world or the e-com world, this is known as pre-sales. You can offer pre-sale incentives to your potential customers by potentially giving them exclusive access to limited quantities, select styles and colorways, or just offering them a discount. There's a ton of things that you can do to entice your customers to bite early and at the same time to align your interests with their interests in terms of giving them a great product at a great price and to earn their loyalty long term. Number 8, now that you have your production styles confirmed and you know what you'll be proceeding into batch production with, you want to grade your patterns accordingly. Grading your patterns involves taking your confirmed fit sample and applying simple mathematical measurements to grade the patterns between the different sizes. Let's just say your fit sample is based on a size medium and you're ordering a size S to XL, then your pattern maker is going to have to take your approved measurements for a size medium, grade them down for the size small, and grade them up for a size large and XL. Obviously, this is something that a dedicated pattern maker would be able to do. Just do bear in mind that it is quite a mathematical process and it does take a bit of expertise and technical training to implement correctly. So make sure you're working with the right people. If you're working with a cut and sew factory that is capable of handling this, then that's an added bonus. Number 9, you'll want to create your PP sample, or otherwise known as your pre-production sample. The reason we call it a pre-production sample is that once you've confirmed your order with the factory, you've placed a deposit, they can access all the fabrics and the materials they need to create the correct production. You want them to create a perfect style based on all of the culmination of feedback and comments you gave for the fit sample, the proto sample, and all the other patterns created in order to create the perfect PP sample that they can use for finalized production. It's extremely important that the PP sample be 100% accurate towards what's going to production with zero mistakes in order to assure that the factory doesn't make any mistakes based on how they're referencing that PP sample down the line. So that PP sample will act as a carbon copy of how your finished production should look, with the correct fabric, in the correct color, with the correct prints, with the correct trims, so on and so forth. Number 10, now that you have a confirmed PP sample, you can ask your factory to proceed with the bulk production. Your factory should be using the correct PP sample details in order to create what is known as the batch production. Whether you have 500 pieces or 500,000 pieces, this is where a good production process is going to come in clutch. At the same time, you'll want to make sure that your factory has a production manager, whether it's a third-party person or entity or someone that is in the organization, to communicate effectively with the production lines. Because do bear in mind, the people that you're communicating with are not necessarily the people who are cutting and sewing the garments and actually putting everything together. So having a good line of communication with the production line is key. That's where a good production manager will come in handy. Stage 11, you'll want to implement a quality control. Whether that's a third-party entity coming from the outside in, or it's a design agency or a sourcing agency that you've hired, or it's someone that is integrated into the business itself based on a set of requirements that you guys have agreed on, whether through a design contract or through a written agreement. You'll want to make sure that quality control is conducted at several intervals throughout the process in order to ensure that your finalized products are exactly as they are intended to be. Whether that's once all garments are completely cut, or whether that's once fabric is received into the warehouse for the first time, or whether that's before ironing and packing, or before they are shipped out. Having quality control checks at the right stages will assure that you have your finalized production at the quality and standard that it's intended to be. This will save you a lot of money down the line and will ensure that both you and your supplier can do business together for the long run. And last but not least, we have the packing and shipping process. There are two ways to approach this. Whether you're an independent retailer selling directly to the customer, which is a very common business practice, make sure that your factory are following your standards regarding packing information. Whether they're packing the garments in individual poly bags that you've supplied, or they're packing them to stock poly bags with hang tags and with other types of final deliverables, make sure that they're following your standards and make sure that everything is packed in a way that is presentable for the end user. If you're a wholesaler or a retailer selling directly to showrooms and other types of department stores, make sure that you follow your buyer's requirements. Buyers can actually refuse to receive or take receipt of shipments, so making sure that delivering your products in a presentable way that aligns with their requirements is key. This will be something that you have to double check with each buyer that you're working with, and integrating correctly with these buyers and making sure you align your requirements is going to be key. The last thing you want is to be dealing with 5 different buyers and having different requirements for each. This is going to drive up your cost and it's going to actually raise the possibility of making mistakes. We'll do a separate video on packing instructions and packing information. If you guys want it, let us know in the comments below. But just know for now that you want to make sure that your factory follows your correct packing methods, and they will provide you with a packing list before shipping. At this stage, once you've paid your final payment, you'll be able to ask them to release the goods. They'll provide you with a packing list, a bill of lading, and ultimately any other shipping documents or invoices that you'll need in order to clear your shipment once it arrives at your port. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. These are the 12 stages of the complete production process. We've tried to distill them down for you into as easy a format as possible. If you guys have enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, smashing a thumbs up, letting us know what future videos you want us to make. We always enjoy hearing from you guys. Thank you once again for tuning in to Fittdesign TV. Until next time, stay awesome.